Hello everyone, this is Dr. Ruchika Pal from Assistant Professor from Suresh Gyan Vihar University, Department of Physiotherapy. So I'm continuing my lectures on the topic fractures. I have already shared for 4 videos on the fractures. So this is my fifth and final video on the fractures. So we have completed a lot of headings on the fractures, and now we will complete the management of the fractures, which is the most importantly topic of the fracture. Now, if we will go for the learning objectives, so learning objectives are here to enhance the quality of learning and teaching by the topic and meet the learning style on the needs of the students, to improve the efficiency and effectiveness, to improve user accessibility and time flexibility to engage learners in the learning process. Now, these are the learning objectives of the online classes which we are taking from the past 3 months, or you can say which we are taking in the lockdown period or in the quarantine time. Now, learning objectives of the topic. Now, at the end of the class, the student should know about the student should know about the types of fractures, classification of the fractures, clinical features, healing procedures, management of treatment, operative measures, or you can say what are the treatment which we are going through the this type of the fractures. Now, outlines, we have completed the outlines regarding all these things. We have completed introduction of fracture, definition of fracture, incidence of fracture, etiology and risk factors of the fractures, pathophysiology of fractures, process of bone healing, clinical manifestation of fractures, classification of fractures, diagnostic evaluation of fracture, management of fracture. So we have completed up to my last videos up to the classification of the fractures. Now we have to conclude about the diagnostic evaluation of fracture and the management of the fracture. So now we will go for the other things. We will go for the other topics such as of the diagnostic of the fractures. So it's about the diagnostic evaluation. Now it is regarding about the history collection. So for the diagnosis of, you can say for the diagnosis of the fracture cases or for the diagnosis of the types of the fractures, we have to collect the history. What is the history of the patients? How the trauma happens or what happens to the patients to get the fractures. So history collection will be there. History collection, there will be the part where we can go for the physical assessment also, or you can say the assessment which involves the other personal history and the medical history also, and the patient psychological and social history also there for the diagnostic evaluation. In physical examination, yes, there is a physical examination. We have to conclude lot of topics, such as the patient is having any other patients having any pain or swelling, or or you can say other parts which we can which we can observe and which we can palpate according to the patient's traumatic conditions or the fracture conditions. So these are the things which we have to evaluate in the physical examination. There is a completely one topic regarding about the assessment of the cases of the physiological cases, or you can say assessment of the traumatic fractures cases. So that can also leads to the physical examination. Physical examination includes lot of things which we have to go through, which we have to take care of the patients, or which we have to take in the history and in the physical examination by the observing and by the observation and the by palpation, or you can say by taking other things which we need to go for the physical examination. Now x-ray. So X-ray, there is a X-ray also will be there. It is a diagnostic tool, or you can say the imaging of the trauma sites, which can leads to the which can leads for the other things which we can go for the in the fracture cases. X-ray, it leads to the commonly taken before and after the fracture. What happens in that? It is commonly whenever the X-ray we can go for that, the if we can take care of the if we can take before the fracture, you can say after the fracture reduction, and then periodically during bone healing. So whenever the patient comes to the trauma center or in the emergency department, we will take the x-ray of the fracture site. What kind of the x-ray, what kind of the fracture is there? It is either transverse, oblique, comminuted, or any other type of the complicated fracture. If we and then after in the treatment procedure, we will take the x-ray which is in the trauma center, that is the before the fracture reduction or before starting the fracture treatment. And then we will go for the fractures, we will go for the x-ray in the healing time, during the healing time, and after the healing time. We have to take these three x-rays for checking that the patient is going through the any traumatic any other treatment procedures, or the bone is healing in a specific direction, or you can say the bone will be healed in a specifically terms, or in specifically in this terms or condition, so that the other complication will not happen, just like non-union, delayed union, hypertrophied union, non-union, or atrophy non-union. CT scan. An advantage of other structures like blood vessels and abnormalities can be seen. Yes, after the X-ray, we have done X-ray. If the physician or the orthopedic surgeon want to evaluate the or more detail about the structures, or the patient is having the complicated trauma or the complicated fractures, that can leads to the CT scan of the advantage of CT scan of the other structures like blood vessels. It will get the reports of the blood vessels, and abnormalities like hematoma can be seen. Now these are the diagnostic, we can say these are the diagnostic evaluation. There is a proper diagnostic assessment of the fracture, which we can go for, which we can call the orthopedic assessment, in which we have got to collect all the data. That topic I will be discussed in another video, and that can also leads to the different things which is already mentioned in that diagnostic evaluation. Now, management of fractures. Yes. Now, we have concluded all the things, that the patient is suffering from this trauma, patient is suffering from this, patient is suffering from this trauma, patient is suffering from this condition, or whatever the things which happen to the patient. Now we will go for the management of fractures. That is very much necessary, or you can say the patient, your capability or your ability to cure the patient is about the management of the fractures. Medical management. Yes. First is your medical management. The goal of medical management include prompt and true assessment of client to discover all injuries, reduction and stabilization of fractures with immobilization observation for complications, and eventual remobilization and rehabilitation. What happened in that? If we can go through that, if we are talking about the medical management, how the we will pursue the medical management. The goal of the medical management include prompt and through assessment of client to discover all injuries, reduction and stabilization of fracture with immobilization, observation for complication, and eventual remobilization and rehabilitation. We need to discover what injury the patient is having. We need to manage that, how the reduction will be there, how we can stabilize the fracture, how we can align the fracture, or what type of immobilization will be there, or it is observation for the complication, and eventual reimmobilization and rehabilitation will be there. So that can be leads to the medical management. It is the just basic starting of the medical management. Collaborative care means you are starting your management care, your medical management, but you have to care the fracture side, or you have to care side by side to the these things. Diagnostic history and physical examination we have discussed. X-ray, CT scan, and MRI will be done. Collaborative therapy includes your fracture reduction. If you got a fracture in tibia or any other bone, now they are in the distracted position. Now, what you have to conclude, you have to make them nearby as previously in the aligned position. So that is called the fracture reduction. And how it can be done? It can be done by manipulation. It can be done by close reduction. It can be done by traction devices. It can be done by open reduction and internal fixation, that we will call the ORF. In open reduction and internal fixation, the patient will suffer from a surgery. And close reduction, it is already it can be done by the it is not, it is like just like doing by the operative measures, but not in the surgical measures. Traction devices are applied for the reducing the fracture site, for reducing the gap in the fracture. Now, including the fracture immobilization. What happened in the fracture immobilization? This or sprinting is done in the fracture immobilization. So this is the traction, external fixation, internal fixation. What happened in this? So casting or splinting will be there. Traction is in there, external fixation is there, internal fixation is there. So that leads to the fracture immobilization. Open fractures, surgical debridement and irrigation is there. Tetanus and diphtheria immunization, we have to go for that in the open fracture cases. Is prophylactic antibiotic therapy, so that the patient will not undergo prophylactic shocks. Immobilization is there, so that whatever the treatment, whatever the management we have done, so that the patient needs time, or the body needs time to heal in the immobilized state. So about the fracture reduction. So what happened in the fracture reduction? So if we talk about the fracture reduction, there is a closed reduction. It is a non-surgical manual realignment of bone fragments to their previous anatomic position. Closed reduction. Now the word itself suggests that it is closed, and we are reducing the fracture site. It is a non-surgical manual realignment of bone fragments to their previous anatomic position. So we can go for the non-surgical alignment. Means we are not taking care, we are not operating the patients, we are not surgically, we are not implying the surgical incision to the patients. Manual realignment will be there. Manual realignment is there. You can say the patient is the fracture site or the fracture bone is aligned by manual forces to their previous anatomic position under local or general anesthesia. Yes, it is a very painful condition, or it is a painful procedure to aligning manually the bone fragments to the previous anatomic position. So the patient has to go on the under the local anesthesia or the general anesthesia. After the reduction, traction or casting or external fixation or splints or orthosis used to immobilize the part to maintain alignment under the healing process. So what happened in that after the reduction? Whenever when you manual alignment is there, manual reduction is there. So what it is going on? This is a traction or casting or external fixation or splints or orthosis used to immobilize the part to maintain alignment until the healing processes, till healing occurs. So in this position, when the reduction has done, you go the traction will be there, or the casting or the external fixation. External fixation is that thing which we apply to the externally to the body, or splints are various types of the splints are present in the market, or various type of the splints are present in the medical field. They have to support splint. What is the use of the splint? The splint is supporting the reduced fracture site, or orthosis or braces will be there to immobilize the part. For the basic thing is that the first care of the fracture site is that we have to immobilize the part. We have to loosen up the functional activity of that part, so that the bony fragments will not get disturbed, or so that the bony fragments will not get more aligned other than the traumatic side, and then leads to maintain the alignment, so that the calcium deposition will be there, or so that the calcium deposition will occur in the proper directional proper direction, and we will get the fracture site to be healed in a proper specific time. So this is about closed reduction. Now about open reduction. So if we talk about the closed reduction and the open reduction, we have concluded that the open reduction is there. Now, if the fracture didn't get healed up by the closed reduction, or the fracture is of the, you can say, the site is of fracture is related to that site, or fracture is related to that trauma in which the open closed reduction is not working. So the surgeon or the physician will offer the treatment, that is the open reduction. So it is a correction of a bone alignment through a surgical incision. Now, correction of bone alignment through a surgical incision, how it can be there? Now we are correcting the bone alignment not to manual reduction. We are doing, the surgeon is going for the surgical incision. It usually includes the internal fixation of the fracture with the use of wires, screws, pins, plates, intramedullary rods, or nails. So this is about the internal fixation. Now surgical incision will be there, skin is cutted, fat tissues are cutted, and your fracture site is exposed to the external environment. Now internal fixation parts are involved. Now internal fixation devices are involved. So these devices are screws, pins, plates, intramedullary rods, or nails. If open reduction fracture with internal fixation, or if is used for intra-articular fracture surfaces, early initiation of range of movement of joint is indicated. Now, if open reduction with internal fixation, what happened? Now, open reduction, we have the surgeon has made the surgical incision, it cutted it, it opened it, internal fixation is applied. So, to what is they are using for it? They are using intra-articular fracture, or in involving joint surfaces, or early initiation of range of joint is indicated, as we have applied internal fixation for the healing of the fracture. Or if facilitates early ambulation. Yes, if the bony fragment part is disturbed, or you can say it is removed. Now we have implied some other parts to perform that action of the bony part which is removed. So it facilitates early ambulation. We can go for the early ambulation. We can go for the early activities, now which decreases the risk of complication related to prolonged immobility. Yes, for the particularly in long time of immobilization in close reduction or in the any other fracture treatment, besides the ORF, then it is related to prolonged immobility for the fracture healing, for the calcium deposition. But for the prolonged immobility or prolonged immobilization, it leads to the other complications. So that's why ORIF is preferred ORIF is preferred to remove these prolonged immobility complications and promotes fracture healing with gradually increasing increments of stress placed upon the affected joint and soft tissue structures. When the joint is affected or the fracture site is nearby the joint, or fracture is in the joint, it affected the soft tissue structures also, and it affects the other ADLs also. So that can lead to the your complications, and we have to avoid the complications for the fracture after by the open reduction or by the ORIF. Traction. Now, it is the application of a pulling force to an injured or a diseased part of the body, or an extremely wild counter pulls in the opposite direction. So this is we have studied about the reduction in the closed fracture and the open fracture. But in traction, yeah, in reduction, we are making the joints closer to each other, or we are making the bony fragments closer to each other. In traction, we are applying pulling forces from one to other, from one to the off of the body, and by the other person, or you can say by any other object. So it is the pulling force to an injured or diseased part of the body on an extremity, while counter pulls in the opposite direction. So this is about the traction. We are distracting it. We are making the away from the each other, because it is in the you can say it can occurs in that fracture cases when it got contusions, or it got fuses. So it is the application of a pulling force to an injured or diseased part of the body or an extremity, while counter pulls in the opposite direction. Its purpose are why we have to go for the traction: to prevent or reduce muscle spasm, or to immobilize a joint, or to reduce a fracture or dislocation, or to treat a pathologic joint condition. Now, prevent or reduce muscle spasm. Muscle spasm, we have to prevent or reduce muscle spasm which occurs in the traumatic condition. To immobilize a joint or a part of a body. To reduce a fracture or dislocation. We have to reduce a fracture or to dislocation, and to treat a pathological joint condition. The main two types of traction are skin and skeletal traction. So this is about the skin and skeletal traction, which is also applied in to the remove, or you can say to treat the patient's conditions. Skin traction is used for short-term treatment, that is up to the 48 to 72 hours, until skeletal traction or surgery is possible. So this is the main two types of the traction, skin and skeletal traction. So one of the type is the skin traction. You can see in the diagram, it is going on the traction is by the one part is pulled by the body itself, and the other part is applied by the pulley to the weight. Skeletal traction, it is generally placed for longer periods than skin traction. Is used to align injured bones and joints, or to treat joint contractures and congenital hip dysplasia. So it happens in the skeletal traction. So this leads to the generally placed for longer periods than skin traction. Is used to align injured bones and joints, or to treat joint contractions and congenital hip dysplasia. So to apply this traction, the doctor surgically inserts the pin or wire into the bone, either partially or completely, to align and immobilize the injured body part. Weight for skeletal traction ranges from 5 to 45 pounds, or you can say 2.23 to 20.4 kgs. So this is about the skeletal traction and the skin traction. You can see in the diagram, next in the diagram also, so that there is a skeletal traction occurs over in this body. These are the pulley systems which applied for the weight. Cervical traction. It is, you can say, it is a type of the treatment also in the physiotherapy field, or it is a type of the you can say for the traction purposes, or you can say stabilizing purposes also. Cervical traction includes a metal brace which is placed around the client's neck. The brace is then attached to a body harness or weights which are used to help correct the affected area. It is performed under general anesthesia. When the patient is under fracture conditions, then it is performed under GA under general anesthesia, and cervical traction, which is used in the physiotherapeutic part of the treatment. It is not required the general anesthesia. The patient is affected if the patient is having the non-fracture conditions or only the cervical compression is there, we will go for the cervical traction in the physiotherapy treatment. So just like it, we can apply this also with the cervical collar also, not in, this is the cervical collar, cervical pads also. In sitting position, we can apply cervical traction in sitting position also. Fracture immobilization cast. It is a temporarily immobilization cast. It is a common treatment following close reduction. So this is about the temporary immobilization device, or you can say common treatment following close reduction. So this can lead to the fracture immobilization cast. It is acting as a temporarily immobilization device, means temporarily we are immobilizing the fracture site temporarily. It is a common treatment following close reduction. Cast materials are naturals, POP, synthetic acrylic, fiberglass, free polymer, or a hybrid of materials. So these are the cast materials or natural POP, synthetic acrylic, fiberglass, free polymer, or hybrid of materials. So you can see that the short arm cast, if the patient get fracture from the distal end of the radius, or you can say up to the forearm fracture, it can apply. We have to apply the short arm cast. Long arm cast is up to the if the patient got the fracture near elbow joint or above the radius and ulna fracture, we can go for the long arm cast. The types of cast are sugar tongue splint. You can see that the sugar tongue splint, there is a tongue applied over in the cast, and we have to apply the bandages over there to maintain the stabilizing factor or to maintain the to immobilize the fracture site. It is used for acute wrist injuries or injuries maybe result in the significant swelling. Body jacket cast or brace. It is used often for the immobilization and support for the stable spine or injuries of the thoracic or the lumbar spine. This is called the body jacket cast or brace, applied around chest and abdomen and extends from above the nipple line to the pubis. Hip spica cast. It is used for the treatment of the femoral fractures. If the patient get unilateral femoral fracture, then we will apply it like to this single hip spica, and if the patient is suffer from the both femur fractures, then we will go for the double hip spica. So the patient is we are immobilizing the patient for a long time in this type of the cast. Injuries to lower limbs. Yes, there are many type of the injuries to the lower limb, and we are applying this type of a knee immobilizer, long leg cast, and short leg cast. These are the type of the cast which we are applying to the injuries of the lower limb. External fixation. It is a metallic device composed of a metal pins that are inserted into the bone and attached to the external rods to stabilize the fracture while it heals. It is a very painful and a very complicated procedure. It is used to apply traction to compress fracture fragments. Indications are simple fractures, open or closed, complex fractures, bony defects, pseudoarthritis. So you can see over here, these are the external fixators, which are a mini Hoffman system is used in hand, or Hoffman 2 on the tibia standard system. So these are the two types of the system which we are going for that. And another one is also called the Elizaro technique also. Internal fixation, we can go for the internal fixation. These devices that are the used for the internal fixation, these are the pins, plates, intramedullary rods, metal screws are surgically inserted at the time of the realignment. Internal fixation are always used in the open reduction, and the then internal fixation appliance devices are used. So these are the pins, plates, intramedullary nodes, and metal screws. Biologically insert medical devices such as stainless steel, vitalium, or titanium are used to realign and maintain bony fragments. Proper alignment is evaluated by X-ray study at regular intervals. So you can see that to stabilize a long bone fracture, a plate and screws outside the bone or a rod inside the bone may be used. You can see these in the diagram. So these are the plates and screws which are applied to the fracture site. These are the fracture side of the fibula. It is applied inside the body towards the fibula. By the open reduction, we have to cut, or we have to say open reduction and internal fixation will do that procedure. So these are the intramedullary rod with the screws. So you can see that the intramedullary rod is inserted in the tibia and applying the screws for the stabilization of the intramedullary rod. So this is also applied in the this type of the fracture. Drug therapy. If we go for the drug therapy, then there are the central and peripheral muscle relaxants are required for the pain, relieving of the pain, as the muscle will get torted, muscle will get ruptured. Be advised to relieve pain and muscle spasm will be there. So, for example, carisoprodol, cyclobenzaprine, and methacaramol. So these are the drugs. Immunization with tetanus and diphtheria will be there because the fracture is there, infection can be there, occurs. So it will be the tetanus and diphtheria, or tetanus immunoglobulin for patients with open fracture. Antibiotics, cephalosporins. Antibiotics are useful for the reduction in the pain, infection, or the processes of the healing of the body. Nutritional therapy. Yes, if the patient is suffer from any injury, we require the extra supplements also, and we require the nutritional therapy also. We have to eat the good to become to heal up very good. For better reparative process, client should take ample protein, 1 gram per kg body weight, vitamin B, C, D, minerals for soft tissue and bone healing. So these are the minerals which is required for soft tissue and bone healing are the calcium, phosphorus, and the magnesium. Yes, calcium is very important for the bone healing. Adequate fluid and high fiber diet with fruits and vegetables to prevent constipation. So these are the adequate fluid and high fiber diet with fruits and vegetables to prevent constipation. Advice to avoid overeating to prevent from abdominal pressure and cramping. So these are the advices. We are going for the nutritional therapy. Surgery. Yes, surgery requirements, surgical debridement and irrigation can be done, in which the surgeon removes damaged tissues from body to promote healing. Along with the procedure, the aesthetic washing of the wound, fracture is to be done to irrigate the contamination. Surgery, if the patient undergoes a surgery, we have to we have to follow the precautions also, so that the surgical complications will be not there. Surgical debridement will be there, irrigation will be done to that the surgeon removes damaged tissues from the body to promote healing. As such, if the damage present in our body, they will not help the body for the healing in her proper direction, or the immune system is working against only the damaged tissues, or the damaged tissues can also go for that other tissues to be damaged, or it can produce gangrene also. Now, along with the procedure, the aesthetic washing of the wound will be required. Fracture is to be done to irrigate the contamination. Now, this procedure is called as irrigation and debridement, mainly done in the case of an open fracture. Nursing management assessment. So there will be history taking, assessing the client and perform physical examination, record the subjective and objective data. So history taking, we have concluded though in the first slide that what we have to take the history taking, we have to take the personal history, then we have to take the medical history, we have to take the social, psychological, and economical history of the patient also. So that can lead to the specifically in specific direction, so that the management of the management of the fracture will be there, or we can get to know about the traumatic incident. Assessing the client and perform physical examination. Yes, physical examination will be done. So while the assessing the client, so that we will go for the starting stage of the treatment before going for the any X-ray or any other treatment procedure. Record subjective and objective data. This all the assessment have a very descriptive information for our descriptive information, and I will include that descriptive information in my next video, so that the patient will get to know about how we have to so the physiotherapist or any other medical person will know about the orthopedic assessment, how we have to take the assessment. Because after taking an assessment, we will relate our medical treatment, medical management, physiotherapy management, or surgical management in a specific direction. Now, nursing diagnostic with the intervention, pain related to fracture, as evidenced by pain scale. We have to go for the diagnosis with intervention in the pain related. We have to maintain. We have to measure the pain scale. We have to measure the pain by pain scale. Goal to reduce. We have the physiotherapist or the nursing or the physician, we have the goal to reduce pain. Interventions, we have to assess the pain intensity, how much the pain is there. Pain score will be up to the 1 to 10, how much the patient complains of the pain score. Assess for fracture that decreases pain. So we have to assess the fracture, and we need to decrease the pain tolerance, reduce or eliminate the increased pain experience. Now we need to reduce or eliminate the increased pain experiences. Stress and anxiety has to be monitored and reduced. So this is about the stress and anxiety pattern and has to be monitored and reduced. Administer analgesics as evidenced by the doctor. Analgesics will come into the drug therapy. These are for the pain relieving. So these are the evidence by the doctor. Stress and anxiety related to treatment regime as evidenced by verbally expressed feelings. Yes, if any person getting trauma or any other injury, be obvious that the patient is under the stress and anxiety. So we have to talk to him, or we need to that patient. If patient is applying, if patient is saying that, patient is concluding that he or she is having pain or any stress, then we have to relieve the stress or pain or anxiety by verbally expressions or by verbally talking to the patient. So it's what's our goal? It is to reduce stress. How we will reduce the stress? Which interventions we will apply? Assist the person to reduce his present level of anxiety. We have to assist the person. What is the level of anxiety will be there because the patient is having trauma, how the patient is feeling about that, or the patient is having any other type of the injury or any type of other anxiety issues, so that the patient is related to that and related that anxiety issues to the other anxiety issues with the trauma. Providence, resources and comfort. We will provide some resources so the patient can be comfort. We will apply some motivational talks to the patient, or we will listen to the patient. Yes, patient, we have to listen properly so that we can evaluate or we can assess the situation of the patient's mind from his talks. Decrease sensory stimulation. We need to decrease sensory stimulation. We have to sometimes we have to behave like that. We don't have to show the patients, or we have to sometimes giving some analgesic, so the patient is analgesic or anesthetic relieving factor, anesthetics for the relieving factors of that sensory stimulations. Reduce or eliminate problematic coping mechanism. We have to reduce or we can eliminate that thing which is creating problem to the patient or which is increasing the stress and anxiety of the patient. Disturbed body images related to amputation as evidenced by the self esteem. Goal to improve self esteem. Now, intervention, how we will improve this self esteem? We have to establish a trusting nurse and client relationship, that is called the client and physio rapport or client and nurse rapport. Promote social interaction, initiate health teaching. So this is about the disturbed body images. Activity tolerance to immobilization as evidenced by decreased activity. We have to decrease activity, or you can say we have to improve the activity intolerance so that a patient is immobilization. Goal to improve activity intolerance. Intervention, to assess the knowledge of activity level. We need to assess how the patient is doing that activity, monitor the individual's response to activity, promote ambulation with or without assistive devices, provide sufficient support to ensure safety present and present feeling. Now, complications of fracture. There are a lot of complications of the fractures. Here are the few complications of the fractures which leads to the different complications. Nerve injury. If the patient get that trauma or in the treatment stages or in the transferring of the patient from one place to another place, nerve injury can occur there, and that can lead to the peripheral nerve injury and the sensory nerve injuries also, so that the patient is having much more pain or feeling of the pain will be there, or the patient will get the paralysis also. Compartment syndrome, fat embolism syndrome, Walkman's contraction, DVT, pulmonary embolism, infection can be there, CAS syndrome. These all are the very vast topics. We will conclude every topic in my future lectures or in my future videos, so that you can get to know. Because if I will discuss that topics in here, you will get confused about that. What are that syndromes and how they are different from each other, how these complications are different from each other. Conclusion, we can go for the conclusion also. So conclusion is there: a fracture is any disruption in the normal continuity of a bone. Conclusion of the topic is there: when fracture occurs, surrounding soft tissues are often damaged as well. Problem which needs immediate collaborative care and management. If the management is being delayed, then the complications can be lead. So you have to refer the books J. Maheshwari of Essential Orthopedics, Tidy of Physiotherapy, Susan O'Sullivan for Rehabilitation. These all books, these all references have the other things which you can read it about in that. And this can already mention about that references. Lewis Hetmikeper, textbook of medical surgery, nursing for the surgical or if or open reduction and internal fixation and the surgical complications also. Black JM, textbook of medical surgery nursery, again, so that you can refer that book also. Now there are few multiple choice questions regarding this topic of in a bone. If concavity is ratio to the elongation or is to the ratio of the convexity, what will be there? Compression, depression, suppression and extension will be there. So there will be compression will be there. Now, in which of the following injuries to the bone? The bone is actually not broken. There is simple fracture, hairline fracture, contusion, and the multiple. These are the answer is the contusion, because in the bone is actually not broken, is in the contusion. All in the three aspect have the fracture in the bone. In fracture, especially in long bones, the body starts giving weight, that is medially, axially, centrally, normally. So this is about the fracture. It happens in the medially, because whenever the trauma will be there, we will avoid that type of that side, and we will lean towards the opposite side, or we can say we will lean towards the medially side of the body, medially to the fracture. If I'm getting the fracture over here, this is distal to my body and my body is medially, so I will be not really giving pressure onto the this fracture site. Which of these fracture necessitates the use of bone cement or some other implant? So the which bony cement is used for the fracture necessities, or you can say fracture healing? These are the multiple fractures, compound fractures, simple fractures, hairline fractures. So it will be the compound fractures, because compound fracture will be healed by the bone cement. And the severity of ligament injury progresses from. Now if we got the ligament injury also there, then how it is progresses from? It is progresses from strain to tear, sprain to tear, strain to sprain, sprain to strain. So the answer is the sprain to tear. Brittle fracture is more dangerous than ductile fracture, because no warning sign, crack propagates at all very high speeds, no need for extra stress during crack propagation and all. Yes, the answer is the all. So these are all about the multiple choice questions. So thank you for listening me in this video. And if you have any queries and if you have any regarding any issues about the fractures video, you can come, you can ask me on this on my YouTube channel, and in the and by this video you can conclude. You can ask me any regarding any fracture related topic. So this is all about the fractures. We will conclude other topics in my next videos. This is Dr. Ruchita Pal, Assistant Professor in Suresh Academy, University. Thank you so much.